Hello, we are back with Double Take Sports Podcast, ready with a sports trade deadline edition, especially the NBA. Let's get right into it. My name's Angelo,
My name's David.
and we are Double Take Sports. So first off, we're going to start this one a while back, all the way back in January. Not really a trade deadline. Let's just get this one over with. The Hawks send Trae Young to Washington for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. Now, that to me is absolutely blasphemous. I understand that Trae Young is no longer the star of your team, and I understand that Trae Young is one of the worst defenders in the NBA. But back 3 years ago, he was averaging 30 and 10, carrying the team on his back to the conference finals. That was back in 2021, their conference finals appearance. Trae Young still is worth more than an expiring contract on CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert, who was good, but nowhere near great, about 15 points a game this season. What do you think?
I never really understood it, even from Washington's perspective, because you're adding him to what? Now it makes sense as we lead into um, the February 5th trade with Anthony Davis. So that comes around and it makes it more relevant to what they're trying to do going forward.
So, moving forward with the Washington Wizards, we're going to start with them, by the way, talk about how they did. Washington trades Chris Middleton, a few guys, including Marvin Bagley III, second overall pick in the 2018 NBA draft, along with two first-round picks and three second-round picks to go get Anthony Davis from Dallas and D'Angelo Russell. What do you think?
Well, you're taking a big chance on someone who has not played a full season and I don't know how long. So you're giving up quite a bit of talent right off the bat, but then also future talent. So you're really rolling the dice with this combination of Trae Young and Anthony Davis.
I agree. I think if fully healthy, Trae Young, Keyshawn George, who has become a rising star, Alex Sarr, who was the number 2 overall pick 2 years ago, he's become a rising star. That core four there, that could work. But again, everybody has to be healthy. And just looking at it from the perspective of Dallas, you just traded Luka Doncic for Chris Middleton, two first round picks, one of them being from OKC this year, so that's not going to give you anything. That's an early second pretty much, and a protected first round pick. So you basically just traded Luka Doncic for a bunch of seconds, Chris Middleton, and Marvin Bagley III.
Yeah, Dallas hasn't been making the best decisions in the last couple of years, and something needs to change in management or ownership. I don't know.
For sure. And with the firing of Nico Harrison, that might help, but this trade wasn't the greatest for them either. We got to see less than one full game of Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis together, so
It's
sucks to
interesting.
see.
Interesting.
Moving on to our second active team, the Los Angeles Clippers. First of all, they traded James Harden for Darius Garland in a 2026 second round pick. So let me just preface with this. In the last 17 games, the Los Angeles Clippers have been 13-4. They go ahead and trade James Harden, and as I will talk about later, another one of their best players, to build for the future. What do you think?
Now, did they? Legitimate question. Did they make this decision after they found out um, Paul George? Paul George? Is he?
He's not on the
He's
team
not
now.
on the team
He's on
anymore.
Philadelphia.
Yeah, I was wondering. I don't know. I don't get it. You're was this a request from James Harden? Did they kind of push him into making this decision? Maybe he wants another shot, and he thinks that Cleveland offers him the better chance of getting, especially in the weak East, um, gives him a shot at going far in the playoffs, potentially getting that championship that has eluded him.
And honestly, I don't get this from Cleveland's perspective either. You have, your past first point guard. You have a scorer in Donovan Mitchell. You don't need Harden and Mitchell. To me, there's no real point in doing this for Cleveland either. So I think this is one of the bigger lose-lose trades of this deadline.
Not a bad take.
The next one, I alluded to this earlier, the Indiana Pacers get Ivica Zubac. The Los Angeles Clippers get Ben Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, and a 2026 protected first round pick, and a 2029 first. So I think this is pretty valuable for LA because they don't have their pick this year. So getting into that draft, I think, is relatively valuable. It'll probably be a little bit lower because I believe it's from Golden State. So that's not going to be the greatest pick of all time, but you know what? Getting Ben Mathurin for the future, he can be pretty good, especially alongside Kawhi Leonard in that small forward, power forward position. Giving up Zubac though, that's a big hit. Your center is now either John Collins or Brooke Lopez. I personally don't understand why you blow it
Yeah,
up.
you got an aging Brooke Lopez, and I think Zubac was doing well there and fit in well. They kind of just kind of blowing it up at the a weird time,
Yeah,
especially after you said they'd gone 13-4, to kind of go away from that connection that they were clearly showing. Yeah, it's an odd thing for the Clippers.
and in 2027, the Pacers get Zubac, Siakam, Tyrese Halliburton comes back from injury, and they will probably have a top 3 pick this year because
Yeah.
they're not doing very well.
Yeah,
So that
they're looking good for the future, that's for sure.
in 2 years, that could be a real championship contender. Now, moving on to Jaren Jackson Jr., who gets traded from Memphis to Utah. Memphis gets 3 future first round picks in the deal. There's also a bunch of other players that got swapped, just some 5 to 10 point per game players. Jaren Jackson Jr. can fit alongside Lauri Markkanen, and next year the returning Walker Kessler, in my opinion, relatively well, alongside Keontae George. I just don't understand this from Memphis. I mean, you trade Jaren and not Ja at the trade deadline. Ja is only 1 year younger than Jaren. Maybe there weren't too many offers for Ja because of his off the court attitude, but this to me seems like a half blowout, especially with the trade of Desmond Bane in the offseason. What do you
Yeah,
think?
I know you're a huge fan of Jaren Jackson Jr., so I think it's obviously a huge win for Utah, I believe. Memphis, I'm not sure what. Well, I mean, with 3 future first round picks, you can see that they're kind of blowing up what they have now, and they're looking for the future. And I just don't know what value Ja has anymore in Memphis. So
Yeah,
we'll
I
see what
agree.
the future holds. Yeah, letting Jaren Jackson Jr. go is an interesting decision to make.
So this next one of the more underrated deals of the deadline, Anthony Simons, just a few months after being traded to Boston, is now traded once again, this time to Chicago, to be a part of that guard logjam for Nikola Vucevic, who's been trapped in Chicago for a few years himself. So that that's pretty questionable to me. I mean, I don't know why you would go and trade for a guy like Anthony Simons just to give him up a few months later. I think it was obvious from the start that Boston needed that center kind of guy, especially after they traded Kristaps. So I don't personally understand why this wasn't the deal that they made in July. But there were swaps of second round picks, but that's it. It was just a straight up Simons for Vucevic swap. What do you think?
Yeah, it looks like maybe just they were unhappy where they were at and decided to just kind of swap those guys. Both, a 2026 second round pick for a 2027 second round pick. So that's a wash. Maybe they were just unhappy. Decided to go in a different direction.
This one, speaking of the Chicago Bulls, the Bulls received Mike Conley and Jaden Ivey. The Pistons received Kevin Huerter, Dario Saric in a 2026 pick swap. And the Minnesota Timberwolves get cash consideration, so they get pretty much nothing for Mike Conley. They opened up a roster spot for Giannis, which did not end up happening. What do you think?
Well, I'll start with this one because the Pistons are my favorite team, and I try and pay attention to them. Jaden obviously is not having a great year. There is a little bit of injury concerns there. But I feel like when Cade was down last year, the year before, Jaden was kind of carrying him. Maybe not carrying them, but definitely showing up and contributing to the team. But this year he's limited. Minutes are limited to about 15 minutes per game. He's not quite the shooter that Hoarder is. So they're kind of making some decisions there. They're not a very good 3-point shooting team. They're not a very good outside shooting team. So maybe they're just thinking that that's one of the pieces to the puzzle that they need to go deep into the playoffs in a weak East. This might be the year for them, and maybe they're thinking that might be the way to go.
I agree, and Saric provides that same outside shooting because they don't have anybody who can shoot that is bigger. They have a few, they have Duncan Robinson, they have Ausar Thompson, who's not a bad shooter, but Dario Saric is the biggest man on their team that can shoot, so that's good that they got him. Next relatively big trade. The Atlanta Hawks trade Kristaps Porzingis for Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield. I don't understand this from Golden State because their 2-term timeline was obviously their goal back in 2022. The first nail of the coffin was Jordan Poole getting traded to Washington. Then you have Jonathan Kuminga, who looked like a star when Steph Curry was out last year, traded for Kristaps Porzingis. I think Kuminga can go, if he has the potential to be a great number two to Jalen Johnson in Atlanta. What do you think about Porzingis?
I've always been a fan of Porzingis, but like you said, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But we are not GMs. We don't know the situation.
Yeah, I mean, the Warriors did need a center, so that was relatively obvious. So moving on, our final major trade of this deadline, my Oklahoma City Thunder got Jared McCain for a first and a second. That to me is absolutely insane. Jared McCain, the 2025 Rookie of the Year favorite until he was injured 20 games into the season, just got traded for basically nothing. At least from OKC's perspective, because they have a mountain of first round picks as it is. Jared McCain was buried, unfortunately, in the 76ers roster behind Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe. He was sent to the G League. He definitely didn't deserve it. I think this makes the OKC Thunder the biggest winners of the trade deadline because also the LA Clippers, they're tanking. OKC owns their unprotected first round pick from the Paul George trade. So this has gone phenomenally for OKC. Not only did they get a backup guard that they can use for the next 10 years, they just got another one in the Los Angeles Clippers pick.
I have no comment. I don't really know who that is. Obviously, you do because that's your team. And yeah, good for them. It looks like they're setting up for the future.
So wrapping up a crazy trade deadline, the Harden trade, in my opinion, was the craziest. What do you think? What do you think was the biggest
Yeah,
one?
I think Harden and Garland swap. I don't know if anybody saw that coming, especially like we talked about 13-4 run. They finally have things clicking, but yeah, they're in a very difficult West. So maybe they just thought it change the scenery would be best for both.
So moving on to the NFL honors ceremony, which also happened last night. Starting off, biggest one, MVP Matthew Stafford won by a singular first place vote over Drake May. There were two first place votes that went to Josh Allen and one to Justin Herbert.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
Um,
So
I honestly, I'm okay with Stafford winning.
for sure,
I thought Drake May was gonna get it there, but similar numbers. Um,
similar impact too.
similar, yeah, definitely similar impact. I think honestly, the Rams have a few more weapons, but Drake May has a great future in front of him. Matthew Stafford obviously has accomplished quite a bit. And for those saying that he's on the bubble for the Hall of Fame, this might just put him in
For sure.
this Player of the Year award. So we'll see. I mean, Drake May has many more years to come, and I think eventually he'll get one. Maybe next year, maybe the year after. We'll see.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Stafford on the cusp of retirement. He did confirm he's not retiring for next year. He definitely does have over 1 year, but that's looking like that's it for Stafford. So I'm glad he won this award. He definitely deserved it at some point within the past few years in the Rams. I'm glad he got it this year. Unfortunately, came over a great Drake May season. Drake May probably would have been the MVP over the past few years, but unfortunately, this was a bad year to run into a great Matthew Stafford and a great Rams team. Offensive Player of the Year. I don't think a single person saw this one coming before the season. I'm going to try not to mispronounce this like Jersky. Jack Smith and Jigba, the Offensive Player of the Year.
He's been great. He's been great. Even in the playoffs, he's been phenomenal. Like anything thrown in his direction, he grabs with no issues. In traffic, whether he's in traffic, wide open, running after the catch, he's been amazing this year. And I wouldn't have been too surprised if he ends up getting the Super Bowl MVP. I know we're going to talk about the Super Bowl a little bit later, but I can honestly see him, catching 150 to 200 yards next week if Sam Darnold can get him the ball. But we'll see how that goes. I think he's been phenomenal.
For sure. And I think that leap that JSN took from last year to this year, being an 18 to 22 receiver. I thought it was a risky move trading DK Metcalf, but that seemed to have worked out very tremendously. JSN is definitely a top three receiver in this league, so I'm more than glad that the Seahawks found their guy for the future. Now, moving on to the first unanimous Defensive Player of the Year in the past 20 years, the fourth in history, Myles Garrett. After breaking the sack record, he is your Defensive Player of the Year.
Now, he's a player that I believe had it before the season even started.
Yeah.
So it was his to lose, and he definitely didn't lose it. He, especially breaking that sack record, pretty much, if he even had half the season that he had this year, I think he would have walked away with that award. He's so dominant, um, especially when you look at how many times he's double teamed every single snap. To get that sack record is an unbelievable accomplishment, and he's a phenomenal player.
And you talk about that double team that segues perfectly into the Defensive Rookie of the Year. Also a Cleveland Brown, a linebacker, Carson Schweschinger. He was a second round pick to Cleveland, I believe, pick 48 out of UCLA. I don't think a single soul saw this one coming.
Definitely not.
I personally disagree with this. I think Seattle safety Nick Emmanwori, also a second round pick out of South Carolina, I think he deserved this just a little bit more because of his ability to lead the team. You know that Schweschinger obviously isn't the leader of that Browns defense, but I'm glad that he won. He's definitely talented. And Myles Garrett, he's already in his late 20s. That's not the greatest for defenders. So if we're looking for a post Garrett era, for that 5 years after that, maybe Schweschinger can lead the team there. What do you think?
He's been great. Definitely adding to that Cleveland defense, that strong Cleveland defense. I think they're going to be a great defense going forward. On par with a Texas defense. Denver is a great defense as well. So having that rookie on your linebacking core and that's just going to prove very fruitful for them going forward.
That and a Pro Bowl quarterback.
Yeah. That's funny.
So, moving on, the Offensive Rookie of the Year, the second last award we will be talking about. This one went to Panthers wide receiver Teteroa McMillan. I think this was well deserved. I know Tyler Shough, New Orleans quarterback, made a late season push for that. I don't think Cam or Shedeur, the other two quarterbacks, were really in contention for that award. Maybe Jackson Dart was just a little bit. But I think either McMillan or Judkins out of Cleveland deserve this one. I'm glad it went to McMillan. Bryce Young, big improvement this year. Big reason why McMillan won this award. I think he didn't have as good of a year as maybe Jaden Daniels or C.J. Stroud the past couple of years, but he definitely had I would say the best offensive rookie year of this season. I think he deserved it.
Yeah, he definitely deserved it when he's getting the opposing team's best corner on him. I think that's a testament to how good he is and how fast he has reached that pinnacle.
And this final one, we're not going to talk about for too long. It is Coach of the Year, Mike Vrabel of the New England Patriots. New to New England, not a new head coach. He coached for Tennessee for a while. They let him go. Then he went to Cleveland as a coordinator. Then he went up to New England. I think he has been one of the best coaches in the NFL. I don't understand how he got fired. I'm so glad that he won this award. Either him or Mike McDonald of Seattle deserved it, in my personal opinion, and they face each other in the Super Bowl.
I agree. I think Vrabel it wasn't a good fit in Tennessee for him. Being home in New England, where had so much success as a player, I think gave him that confidence to really kind of put himself out there, and he's been phenomenal. Of course, just having Drake May as a quarterback doesn't hurt, and I think they elevated each other, and I think they're going to be quite a combination to deal with in the next 10 years.
For sure. And now the main event, the Super Bowl. Who do you think is going to win this year's Super Bowl?
I think Seattle will win. Whenever you get into the Super Bowl, you always have those nerves.
Yeah.
So I think if this is a regular season game, I see Seattle winning 35-20. But since we're in the Super Bowl, I see it being tight, maybe like a 28-24, 24-21 type game. So we'll see how things pan out, but I do pick Seattle. I think Darnold has another good game. And JSN, like we just talked about, is I think will put up a good 150. They both have really, really strong defenses coming into this
For
game.
sure.
They've really been excelling. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for each other, so it should be a solid game. I think Seattle pulls ahead.
I agree. I agree with the Seattle pick. Normally, I like to look at the team with the most experience coming into the game. I think that's a good choice. It's rare you see a Super Bowl winning team who's never been in the big game or in a conference championship, but neither of these teams made the playoffs last year. Neither of their quarterbacks has been in a Super Bowl. So that's
That's amazing.
or in a conference championship. So I think this will be a great game. I think this is one of the more unpredictable ones we've had in a while. So I'm glad to see that Seattle and New England are both in it. I think Mike McDonald as a coach might be just a little bit stronger because he was on that Ravens team that won. So just all the way back 10 years ago, I think the Seattle Seahawks take this one.
I agree, and I think that's. I think we're gonna wrap it up, right?
Yeah. Just one more question.
Yeah, sure.
Who do you think is your Super Bowl MVP?
Ooh, good question. You know what? I said JSN will get 150 yards, but in order to get those 150 yards, he's got to get it thrown to him. So I'm going to go with Sam Darnold. Darnold's going to get 3 touchdown passes and 300 yards passing. That's my prediction.
I talked about my guy already. I'm going to talk about him again. I think it will be either Darnold or JSN, but I'm going to throw a dark horse out there. I think Nicky Manwari can definitely win this,
Ooh,
either him or
very,
Devin Witherspoon,
very interesting.
because I think the defense is this team's identity.
Okay.
Even though they do have JSN, they do have Kenneth Walker. I think the defense is their identity. I think they will pull through fully. My final score prediction, by the way, 21-17.
All right. I'm going to lock in at 24-21 Seattle.
All right, and yeah, I think we're done now.
I think we are done. Can't wait to see Bad Bunny at
Yeah, definitely.
at the halftime show. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Thank you for watching and listening to Double Take Sports Broadcast.